welcome and happy Labor Day to everybody. This is 5 Round MMA. My name is Askren, alongside Ms. Albertita and Guillermo Cia. This Labor Day edition, I'm going to labor too hard for this episode, guys, or kind of keep them relaxed?
I say we got an action-packed show, so...
Action-packed? A lot of labor going on.
A lot of labor going on.
Yeah, UFC 177 took place this past weekend. We're going to talk about if the Dillasahaw era has officially begun. Also, we got... three of the four horsewomen are down now. Yeah. But we'll get to that card a little later on. Let's talk about news and notes.
Well, before we begin, I just want to start off with soccer fever again. I hope it's still impacting Albert because
I feel kind of died down in this.
USA just announced their new roster, and it's about a lot of young and new, fresh faces. Mm-hmm. So I hope Albert's excited because September, I think it's 6.
Yeah.
They're going to be playing, and it should be the new. I forgot how it's called.
The new face of USA.
No, but it's called the rescheduling. So now it's the build for the next World Cup.
I don't know. I heard you say young. I heard wasn't Landon Donovan make this gonna have?
Well,
one
it's
more
just gonna be
run?
His farewell match. They're do what Mexico did with
Cuauhtémoc Blanco.
Yeah, he's just gonna come out, shake a couple of hands, you know,
not really play,
score a goal, and then
score a goal, and then you know.
Also, last time I checked, Brock Lesnar's still champion, right? So that's got a good thing.
Yeah. Dangerous champion at that.
Spoiler alert: Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
If Triple H has his way.
I heard actually the Rock wants to face Roman Reigns.
If Vince McMahon has his way.
But
if Creative has his way, it's still Daniel Bryan.
Are you sure?
Well, if Albert has his way.
well, whose way is it? It was Rock versus Brock. Who's Cena's way?
Cena's out of the picture. I think that's only Cena's vision that he wants.
Cena's way.
It's a triple threat match.
So, speaking of dangerous champions, ONE FC took place also this past weekend. Ben Askren is now the welterweight champion of ONE FC. Surprisingly, I thought he kind of walked in and already won the title, but they kind of actually keep it kind of professional, right?
Yeah.
Now you have a couple of fights here,
and then
we'll get you a title shot. Dominated fashion. Albert, talk to us about the Ben Askren performance.
Oh, man. I mean... was there talk about it was like a one-sided beating? I mean, I haven't seen a beating that bad since like high school or something. You know?
Textbook Ben Askren.
Yeah, it's like it was almost like watching a guy that it was his first day in MMA, and then a guy that's a veteran.
But don't disregard his.
No,
opponent, right?
Yeah, because he was since being the champion, he did defend it twice and won twice. He only had one loss previous to that Ben Askren fight, but it just shows you the level that Ben Askren's at, that he can make someone like this. Look like if he was like an amateur.
The scary thing is his
wrestling. Suzuki. I'm gonna butcher his first name, but his last name is Suzuki. So
the scary thing is his wrestling. Once you bring him down, all those leg kicks and soccer kicks. I mean, it really
ONE FC does allow knees to the head, right, when you're on the ground.
So it leaves the guy on the floor really defenseless.
Dana White did comment on the Ben Askren win. He said, if I let Tito back, I can let anybody back. And it's not about what Ben Askren says or ever. As long as he keeps winning, he might give him a shot at UFC.
What do you mean what he says? Like, just about the UFC? So I can't speak his mind?
I don't know. I guess Dana White...
So every fighter should be bowed down to Dana White? Is that what he wants?
I guess he just didn't like the way he came off when he left Bellator.
Oh, okay. Well, so Dana White could go out disrespecting athletic commissions and referees and judges. Yeah. But yeah, when somebody else speaks up against Dana White... If not, you would think Ben Askren's what Dana White wants in a fighter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, outspoken, brash, no
that,
apologies, just like Dana White. If I just say who's outspoken, brash, unapologetic, vulgar at times, who is that? Ben Askren or Dana White? Come on.
Exactly.
So,
and at the same time, I think the big complaint for him was like, no one's lining up to see a Ben Askren fight because he try to make the comment that he's just a wrestler fighter. I mean, just after seeing this fight, there's no way you can say that about Ben Askren.
Yeah, but I think he also has the ability to sell a fight. I mean,
the way he talks.
Exactly. So, I mean, Chael Sonnen had the same reputation. I'll just a wrestler, grind, keep people out. But you put him in front of a microphone, what do you got there? You got to start.
I say he's 2 fights away before he's back he's in the UFC.
Yeah, also on this card was our hero,
Roger Huerta.
Roger Huerta came back.
It's been a rough couple of years. Yep. Just even hearing the name Roger Huerta now, I can finally feel good again.
One of the first fighters ever to be graced on the cover of Sports Illustrated. A little known fact there. Well, it's a well fact, right? But El Bellator returned after about 2-year layoff, right?
Yeah.
He I think 4 losses in a row.
Yeah, 4 losses in a row.
Yeah,
took a year off. Took a whole year off.
He went to Bellator for a little bit. Lost to Pat Curran and Eddie Alvarez, which we can't knock anybody for. Then kind of disappeared, and then now he's back. If you guys follow him on Instagram, he's living in Thailand, doing the Tiger Muay Thai. I think kicks it with Mike Swick a little bit every once in a while, but
because Mike Swick got his AKA.
Yeah, he said like he's like a better place now, right? But you said he commented on an interview that you read with
right? he even said that his mindset wasn't in the right place
back in the UFC.
Back in the UFC time when he was going on his huge run, and then even after that, he even says he didn't make the best decisions.
Well, he was like super young too.
Yeah, and he's
31.
Like, that's what I say. He's
so
only 31
There's a recent
now.
article on MMA fighting, and it talks about his mentality, where he's at right now in his place. I mean, right now he's appreciating where he is in the moment instead of like in the dark place where he was before.
And you would think like he was a successful, good-looking guy, had the Mexican culture. The UFC wanted
it's all that I blame it on that Tekken movie. That Tekken movie ruined so many careers. It's not even funny.
He was an awesome fighter, but performances was on the cover of Sports. He might be a little bit too much too soon, right?
Yeah,
and that's how
just got kind of overwhelmed.
Yeah,
but the good thing is he's 31. That's usually when a fighter peaks.
Hits the prime,
and he had an impressive performance. Hopefully,
one more good solid run in him before that's it. Also, a little bit of news and notes I want to talk about too is you guys ever mentioned the big news of the week? Bellator announced a huge acquisition to their fight roster. UFC Hall of Famer Stephan Bonnar.
Then the plan. Wait until you hear what the plan is. It's Stephan Bonnar versus Tito Ortiz.
Yep.
That's what they're looking for.
Yep.
Now, if it happens,
well, I know Tito already has been commenting on Instagram about it. How he really wants Stephan Bonnar and he really wants to put a punishment to him. So to hype up the fight.
I wish you guys can see my face right now. I really do.
In the press release, like there was a quote in there by Stephan Bonnar from Bellator saying, and I'm going to come back just to fight Tito Ortiz because I hate that guy and he fights boring and we're going to fight. I was like, okay, Stephan Bonnar is 37 years old, a history of failed drug tests. Tito's 39 years old, a history of serious injury, neck, knees, and this is the fight Bellator wants to put together. I mean, also, I guess along with fighting, there's a multi-fight deal from what I heard. I don't know how you send this guy to.
So after Tito, you get Rampage.
I guess so. Yeah.
The good thing for Stephan Bonnar is that 205 division isn't as stacked as their lower weight classes, so he can sneak into a Bellator tournament and maybe you make the semifinals.
Yeah, and I guess supposedly too, he's gonna do some commentary too. So. A little there, but also he does have a history with Spike TV with the MMA. What was it show? MMA Hour, not MMA Hour, but
it was that
MMA Uncensored.
That short-lived Spike TV. It was him and I forget the other MMA.
Yeah, it was like an MMA show they had for a while. But so is this more of a Scott Coker move or above him, the guy that Viacom?
I really think it's a Viacom move. They said, hey, people know who Stephan Bonnar is.
Yeah,
let's bring him over here and then. If he loses, let's put him in commentary.
Everybody knows who he is, but Albert didn't know about the breaking news.
No, I knew about it.
He just didn't want to mention it.
I knew about it. I just didn't want to say nothing about it.
Also, UFC. One more thing we want to talk about. Keep it a little close to the our Latin heritage here. Watch it worth it now. UFC Mexico. The card was officially announced. Just thoughts on the card as a whole. You got Verdum versus Cain Velasquez. Well, one fight I'm kind of sick about stacked is Dennis Bermudez versus Ricardo Lamas.
Oh, I knew you would.
That one. That's gonna be a great fight. Just you guys think they're? I know this is probably the main card. You can still they try to do Diego Sanchez on the card as well. A nice influx of Mexican fighters. Grandma, you like it?
Yeah, I mean, like you have most likely El Goyito. He probably
he's on the card as well.
He's on the card. Diego Sanchez, our favorite.
Yep.
You can't. No one can ever be Hart.
Yeah.
And then you have the best fighter in the planet, the best fighter in the world. My favorite fighter, Cain Velasquez fighting.
Well, obviously, you kind of had to be there, right? You think they'll get try and find an influx of maybe unknown Mexican fighters to undercard?
That's what I think.
When they go to like Dublin, they usually do that anyway. I mean, or like
the prelim fights,
or when they go to the local MMA gyms in Mexico. I haven't heard anything about there, but you think they'll try and find a couple gyms?
Yeah.
I think it's a good expansion, especially here in California. You have a lot of Mexican heritage that are into UFC.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys who wear the Mexican American heritage proudly.
Yeah, before we just had to look up to Tito.
Just by announcing the top card, I think you could say it has the stackness.
What was the top?
In there, it's Cain Velasquez for Fabricio Verdum, Kevin Gastelum versus Jake Ellenberger. Diego Sanchez is gonna face Norman Park, Ricardo Lamas versus Dennis Bermudez, and Eric Perez versus Marcus Brimage.
Yeah, that's a pretty stacked main card. I'm pretty sure the undercard's gonna be stacked as well. So before we leave this segment, anything else you guys will talk about news and notes wise?
No. I think you covered it really well.
The big note? Well, we couldn't talk about Stephan Bonnar, right? Without it being All right, so stick around, guys. Coming up, we're talking about UFC 177, and I want to ask these guys get their opinion if the Dillasahaw era has officially begun. So stick around.
Please visit FiveRoundMMA.com on our social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. FiveRoundMMA.com.
We are back. UFC 177 is in the books. Sacktown, California, Sacramento. Game was one of my favorite places to visit, right?
No, there's really nothing much in Sacramento. Grass fields, cows, capital, and then you're near Stockton.
That kind of caught me off guard, your reaction.
Stockton's not too great either.
Oh, anyways, we played host to UFC 177 on Saturday.
The Fab Five were there.
Yeah, the Fab Five. And the 4 horsewomen were there too, right?
The 4 horsewomen.
And then Arco Arena is like really in the middle of nowhere, dude.
Really? I think you posted a picture one time when you were there for your business or travel or maybe for leisure. I was in a bunch of cow fields in the middle of nowhere is the Arco Arena. Right?
Yeah, there's no businesses around Arco Arena. It's just pretty much in the middle of
nowhere.
No
restaurants, no bars.
No, none of that.
What? All right, well, UFC 177 was originally scheduled to be Renan Barão.
Well, no wonder Renan Barão didn't want to go to Sacktown.
Yeah, so now I'll skip it. Renan Barão versus TJ Dillashaw.
If you want to get nitty gritty,
the rematch.
Originally it was supposed to be John Jones versus Askren Gustafsson, and then it was supposed to be Demetrius Johnson versus Chris Carosi or Casero, and now it was supposed to be TJ Dillashaw versus Renan Barão. We ended up with
TJ Dillashaw versus Joe Soto because Friday afternoon, the day prior to the event, the weigh-ins, all of a sudden word gets out. No, Renan Barão's out, medical reasons. Joe Soto's in. And just for you guys, excuse me, is a weight issue, weight cutting issue, electrolyte issue, doesn't drink enough Gatorade according to Dana White. Mm-hmm. You guys just take on the whole Renan Barão out. I think this is a main event. Usually they scrap the whole main event, right? But it was just so close to the deadline that we're just replace somebody in there. So just you guys want.
Well, I'm surprised that we don't see this more often. I mean, if you want to tell them exactly what Renan Barão says.
Well, supposedly he said he was weight cut like he usually does in the bathtub. I assume doing that Epsom salt, where they take a salt bath.
They say only need 2 more pounds to go.
Yeah, and then he got up. This is according to Renan Barão on Fox Sports 1. Got up, fell, woke up in the hospital, and that's all he remembers. But this is the first time he's ever had trouble weight cutting. That he does the method all the time, and that he doesn't know what it was. So I guess that's the answer. Well, accept this.
But now, my personal opinion, I'm surprised that this is the first time we kind of hear about this because some of those weight cuts are really extreme, and I'm surprised people don't get dehydrated. I'm surprised people don't black out, faint. You see them inside the saunas, exercising inside the sauna. It gives you specific warning before you enter a sauna not to do any type of exercise. Yeah. So these weight cuts are very dangerous, and I'm surprised that this is the first time something like this has happened.
It's the first time you ever hear about it. I never hear anything about Renan Barão cutting weight. Like, this guy is so big for the division, he comes down a lot. This is the first time I ever heard a weight cutting issue. He even said it's not a weight cutting issue. I don't know what it was. So, I mean, it's just straight what it is. Maybe just had the flu symptoms and know about it. Or, Albert, what do you think?
Well, I do want to make a couple comments. One is that the only other time I heard about something like this, I forget the name of the fighter, but he slipped in the sauna, I believe, and hit his head, and he wasn't clear to fight because he got a pretty nasty gash or something on his head. But I think that was different, or he got like a concussion or something from that thing. But I don't think this really falls into that category. But I'm just saying that's the only other time I really heard about weight cut happening in this manner. And it just seems weird to me that like you said that because if you remember Johnny Hendricks, do you remember how he looked when he had to do his weight cut last time? I mean, you literally felt very bad for you. Like, dude, this guy, he's trembling there, whatever. And to me, that would have been, and he cuts a lot of weight. Yeah. And I think that was like a vicious weight cut. So it just seems weird to me.
What's his name? Joe Riggs.
Joe Ray.
When I was watching Bellator, I thought it was ridiculous that he was only eating like spinach leaves, two spinach leaves, and a little dish of fish. Yeah. And then that's all he ate all day, and then plus all his exercises and on the sauna just to cut weight. And I'm surprised how is that guy still standing?
Yeah, I think with the weight cut, I think it is. Like that's why Dana White punches guys who don't make weight because it's kind of it's your job to be.
But honestly, I think it's maybe more to look into this. I think it's Dana White's fight that he doesn't have more weight classes.
True.
What frustrates
me? That's like a big argument though.
What frustrates me is if let's say this is all true and that's what really happened, that means he really pushed his body to the limit, and that's just bad planning on his part. He's a champion.
Exactly. Yeah.
He has the money. Go get. Well, he was a champion. He should go get a nutritionist specialist. So his weight is at a certain point. By the time, right? But by the time he cuts weight, it's not as extreme, or he doesn't have to take his body to that limit. I mean, yeah, he starts to do a big weight cut, but not to the point where his body's fainting because it can't literally stand the heat.
I think for every guy who actually cut weight and always struggling, there's always guys like top of my head, Josh Koscheck, who's always in shape. 365, all the time. I mean, I guess it's just different people, right? I mean, John Jones says like, after a fight, I let myself go. It's getting harder for me to cut weight. So it's just like, I mean, Guillermo, you play the most athletes. You've been athletes more, played at a high level. I mean, you see some guys train differently, right?
Yeah, some people are really dedicated into the training aspect of it. Some people are just turn on the green light when it's
training camp starts.
Yeah, right? Training camp start or around game time, and then they have the hardest time to get into game shape.
Yeah, so they're just different fighters, I guess, right?
And then you have the complete opposite, like people like Frankie Yeager, who before they would just cut 3 pounds, and I mean that was just hit the sauna for an hour.
Yeah, because he's already at 155 all the time.
And what's the criticism he got? Oh, you can drop down. You can cut more weight.
Yeah, I guess the people in the media and fans don't really realize what weight cut it is. I mean, living society, it's all about dieting. And people quit diets.
Yeah, but I really think when you get to that level, though, you should really your body should be prepared to take a cut. And I don't think he was. What tells me that he was literally at the maximum. Yeah. And he needs to be more in the neutral zone.
Well, remember JDS for his second fight with Cain Velasquez. Remember he had his muscle fiber started to dissolve and went to his urine. I'm just saying the
CrossFit disease. Because a lot of CrossFit people get this type
the muscle fiber breaks down in your bloodstream. But anyway, all right. So I want to talk about real quick before we go is Burrell's replacement was Joe Soto, who was originally scheduled to fight
Anthony Burchak,
who was the MFC Maximum Fighting Championship bantamweight champion. And you said to me in this fight, why not Anthony Burchak? He is a champion from another organization. So
Joe Soto was a champion in another organization too. But I still think the better choice was Anthony Burchak.
Why? Not because he was a good friend of the show. Not because he's a Redemption Martial Arts ambassador, right?
Mm-hmm. On top of all this, I really do think I really do think he came from a more known organization, and MFC has a bunch of UFC guys in it.
Anthony Hamilton was on the card. He was a former heavyweight champion on the card as well.
Well, while Joe Soto, he was fighting an organization. If you really look at his record, you were like, dude, who's this guy? Yeah, he had a 6-5 winning streak, but he didn't really have the names, and he had losses against big name people from Bellator because he did fight in Bellator and got a couple losses there. Well, on the other hand, Anthony Burchak was undefeated. So I really think they should win with Anthony Burchak. But at the end of the day, if you were just to look at both of them in paper, I can see how they could probably sway a little bit to Joe Soto just because more people fights and just the streak that he was in, the 6-fight winning streak. So, but I really do think Anthony Burchak was a better choice. But with that said, I do think Joe Soto did bring it to TJ Dillashaw. I mean, obviously.
We'll talk about that the main event. Joe Soto came from the Tai Chi Palace fights in California. He was there for maybe the last 3 or 4 fights on his card. Yeah. So the TPF in California. So he was kind of central to California. Yeah. While Anthony Burchak was kind of central to Canada. So I don't know, maybe, but hopefully Burchak gets his UFC debut. See, I know they paid him for training and showing up. But hopefully he debuts really soon. So let's go back to the card, UFC 177. Undercard highlights, Anthony Hamilton in the second UFC fight showed off his power, got a TKO stoppage. But I want to talk about is local fighter again, Lorenz Larkin, loses to Derek Brunson. And honestly, every time Larkin fights, it's always the same thing that comes up with us anyways, is his size. Is he too small for the middleweight division?
I think so. I think if you look at his body type, it's very difficult for him to weight cut even more. Yeah. But yeah, you look at him compared to some of these other guys that he's facing, Costa Philippou, Derek Brunson, they look bigger than...
They literally look another weight class.
Yeah, they look like a bigger weight class than him.
Derek Brunson measured at 6'1", Lorenz Larkin at 5'11".
Because I really don't think it's not the lack of talent.
Oh, no, obviously the UFC thinks... UFC likes him. He's always featured on the cards. He's always on either the pay-per-view or on the undercard. Who's the main event undercard here?
The incentive for him should be like he has win against Robbie Lawler. He was the last guy before.
And they mentioned that too on the broadcast.
Yeah, but doesn't Lorenz Larkin already have a 3-fight lose streak? And
that's what I'm saying. I think he only gets two options. I think either he moves the weight class, or win. I think he has to go to Bellator.
I think all of his losses were all kind of the same manner. He's got overpowered by a bigger, stronger guy.
Yeah, and just wrestled him down.
Yeah. So, I mean, hopefully his camp or whoever's listening to can say, hey, you know what, maybe you should drop down. I know it's going to be sucking another 15 pounds, but he might be faster. He's a super creative striker. Obviously, the UFC likes him. They always feature him in the cards. There's just stuff to like there. He's an awesome striker. So, hopefully, he's got a great personality as well. So, hopefully, he can figure stuff out. Also, before we jump into the women's division, I'm going to talk about the co-main event, Tony Ferguson versus Danny Castillo, which I was super excited for when the fight was announced, a while ago, just to be on the card. Got bumped to the main event because, this like you said earlier, this card is shifting around. But I guess people were kind of, even Aaron Hawani said, why is this the main event?
Wow.
Our co-main event. But he silly apologized. No, they proved me wrong on, I guess, they had a war of words, Castillo and Ferguson. But it goes back, Tony Ferguson is a tough winner.
Yeah.
Is he a little underrated, Gamble?
I think he's underrated. I think El Cucuy, the thing that's great about him is that he's well-rounded at pretty much everything. His jiu-jitsu, his striking, his grappling. I mean, that's the thing I like about El Cucuy. And he showed it again. He's on a 3-fight win streak. Ever since he beat Mike Rio, I was really impressed by El Cucuy. And
his last loss came to Michael Johnson, who's kind of on the cusp, too, of the lightweight kind of being a contender, right?
Yeah, he's on his own streak But I think that's what it is. Cucuy just didn't have the names under his belt.
Yeah.
So to say,
and I think Danny Castillo is a good name to start off with.
Yeah. Especially in Sacramento, too. It's his hometown. But also, I mean, Tony Ferguson, he won the season where Brock Lesnar coached. Yeah. He was Brock Lesnar's guy. He won. And he actually was sponsored by Death Clutch for a while, remember? Yeah. It was Brock Lesnar and Tony Ferguson. So I was like, okay, this guy's legit. If Brock Lesnar come in my camp guy, he's legit. But obviously, after Brock Lesnar retired from MMA, Death Clutch kind of went under. So he on his own. So I think now you should expect bigger and better things. Too bad this guy couldn't be in the card in Mexico, but he might take another fight. You never know. Kind of soon, right?
Yeah.
But obviously, heartbreak for Dan Castillo, lost a close decision. But
yeah. It was a good fight, though.
So I want to jump to the women's bout. One of the 4 horsewomen went down again. Was it Shayna Baszler lost TKO to Beth Correa. This is Beth Correa's second horsewoman.
Yeah.
She has 2 around.
Previously was Jasmine Duke, and that was unanimous decision. So, and right there and then, that's when she started calling out the 4th horsewoman.
So even after the fight, she said, I want Ronda Rousey.
Well, she can skip over the 3rd horseman because, according to Albert, she is no longer a contention.
She just lost recently.
Yeah.
So she skips over the 3rd one, automatic victory over that one. So now she called out Ronda
Rousey, but the Dana White said, no, there's other women in line, which I want to know if you guys could name at least 2 of them.
Gina Carano, Chris Cyborg.
Gina Carano, no, she hasn't fought in like 4 years.
She
hasn't fought in 4 years. Like, how's that legitimate contender to Ronda Rousey? I mean, I want active. I don't think even Ronda Rousey. She said she wants Beth Correa. I think Ronda Rousey, obviously, she didn't get paid no matter what.
I think she feels disrespected, Ronda Rousey. That's
exactly. What she should.
Because she doesn't talk nothing bad about Holly Holmes.
Yeah.
And then
honestly, that's kind of tricky. Ronda Rousey doesn't really talk crap about people. I think the worst one was with Miesha Tate, right?
And she actually gives compliments to Gina Carano, saying, her fighting style might be me.
Yeah. But I mean, I want Gina Carano to get a couple fights under her belt before she's ready to fight Ronda Rousey, because it's going to be a squash match. I mean, Ronda Rousey fights what?
Squash match?
Yeah, Ronda Rousey's super active. Gina Carano, I'm sure she trains, but it hasn't been a live competition in how long?
Yeah. Well, Holly Holmes and then Albert's girl, Sarah McMahon. And
she already beat her, right?
No, I still think she deserves another crack at it.
So is this? Dana White said no, hold on.
But in terms of who Ronda Rousey should fight, I agree with you. It should be bad.
I don't know. I'm asking kind of a broad question, but not broad. But is Dana White kind of protecting Ronda Rousey here? His investment?
I wouldn't say protecting. I would say he's trying to get the most money
bang for his buck
before the train kind of leaves the ride, because. Let's say
the train's kind of slowed down.
I think if Ronda Rousey gets all these wins, she's gonna leave MMA and pursue something
bigger,
more. Yeah. But let's say she loses, it stops right away. And I just think he's just trying to play the best way he can make the most out of this situation.
I think we always see there's a lot of dangerous Brazilian female fighters out there, but yet Ronda Rousey has only faced one in her first fight ever. After that, it's been American fighters or Canadian fighters? Is that kind of strategic, or just kind of like at the maybe?
Which is kind of weird because if you think about it,
fantasy matchmaker. Let's go.
Her biggest strength is that armbar, but yeah, if you fight a Brazilian who knows jiu-jitsu all the time, maybe that wouldn't be as efficient. So I don't know if maybe that was a strategy. A little kind of
between Croker and Dana White, they're kind of protecting Ronda Rousey. But I mean, she's an awesome fighter, anyways. But I mean, it's kind of like she needs a. I think the more the women division will be growing, it's going to be harder and harder for her to start to defend her title, especially if you got guys women like Beth Correa.
The good thing is she's undefeated too, so she has the credentials.
Yeah, Beth Correa 9-0.
She has the credentials to face Ronda Rousey.
So yeah, so now let's jump over to the main event. TJ Dillasahaw took care of business in his hometown, Sacramento. Well, it's hometown. He's from there, right? I mean, at Sacramento, you think of Uriah Faber, you think of the alpha males, right?
Yeah. And also the Stockton camp. The Gracie.
Joe Soto, just performances, Albert. Joe Soto.
Opportunity
last. Honestly, had nothing to lose, right?
Yeah, and I think he was game for the fight. I mean, you never saw him like quitting on the fight, and he had some clean shots on TJ Dillashaw. I mean, there's some points where you're like, dude, he might catch him and actually win this, but for the most part, I thought TJ Dillashaw just kind of overwhelmed him.
Yeah, score. I think the fight went on a little longer than people expected.
Yeah, right? but Joe Soto was game and it'll be more interesting to see now that he has experience fighting him, how he'll do with the long training camp and actually prepare for someone like him, because he did not do bad. I mean, for just.
So I think so we kind of seen 2 in a row now with TJ Dillashaw. Like he's gonna counter, but go after for 4 rounds. In the 5th round, finish him. We did it. Same thing. Hannah Brown did this with Joe Soto. So Gamma, you pointed out just how confident he looks now. So can you just get the aspect of the confidence plus the good coaching and how it's equal to the TJ Dillashaw we see now.
Well, just watching him fight against Joe Soto, you can tell his balance looks. He has a lot of confidence. I think winning the belt. Solidifying, that he's really good that he beat Hennon Brown.
Yeah, the best bantamweight in the world.
Yeah, right? He's the best bantamweight in the world. So I think that confidence is there. What I'm afraid of is maybe overconfidence. But I mean, like again, right now it looks good. He's picking his shots. It looks like everything's coming all together now. So hopefully it doesn't get up to his head, and then he comes out overconfident and gets caught. Like Albert said, Joe Soto did get a couple shots in. You never want to get caught something like that just because you're overconfident.
Now, I want to pick a little bit about your athletic experience again. Is about Dwayne Ludwig said in the past that TJ Dillashaw is my prized pupil. Of all the guys in the camp that I train, for some reason he and I just click the most. He listens to me the most, and he just gets everything I say. So, coaches for you, is that something you believe in? Some coaches you say, "Oh, I get everything he says. I get it." Well, like you see guys, I don't believe this coach doesn't know what he's talking about. Or...
It all comes down to results. I mean, if you're listening to the coaches and whatever you are doing according to the coach's plan, and it's bringing you success, you're gonna buy into that theory or the formation or the strategy even more. When you don't see the success, that's when you start questioning it. Why do I have to do that when I know this is probably better or this movement is better? Yeah. But again, TJ Dillashaw, since going with Dwayne Ludwig, has seen nothing but success. So why wouldn't you follow what he's saying?
Well, you're coaching now. Granted, they are kind of a younger age, but do you see kind of kids who are listening to you more, or some kids aren't listening to you at all? Do you see that now that you're now that you're a coach?
Well, because you've been there, done that, so you know what's going to be successful. You know what's going to take to get to the next level. Your speed, your strength. I'm talking about soccer now. But, I mean, you're starting to see, the 1 touches, 2 touches. But you start seeing that those kids that actually pay attention are going to be able to move on to the next level. The kids that want to dribble, juke, people, sometimes those are going to be the kids overlooked sometimes because they're just going to lose the ball.
Yeah, so Albert, is Uriah Faber and all those guys, the dribble and jukers, don't do the proper techniques like Dwayne Ludwig does?
I just think they have their own style. Yeah. And I think...
You think that they're on their own a little too longer?
Yeah, I think TJ Dillashaw's benefit was like... He was very new to the sport, and so getting someone like Dane Ludwig, while he was still new to it, he was able to be molded his style. Yeah. Well, I think the other guys like Chad Mendes and everything, they already had like their own style already,
and they can't get over the hump. So
exactly.
So you're talking about someone that doesn't know about coaching.
All Ludwig did was maybe tweak their style a little bit,
help them out more,
but not redefine their whole fighting style, which I think TJ Dillashaw did.
Yeah, if you're coming in as a new coach, sometimes it's hard to remold them because they have their tendencies.
That's what I'm saying.
Which is true. Yeah, you always see Uriah Faber going.
But if you're not able to adapt and change and listen, then you stay in the same.
TJ Dillashaw, I think he just got
same course.
Molded.
Yeah.
And
so
that's what I was talking about. They can't go over the speed.
But real quick, Sound Cell was very mad because he said he was ready to go.
Rafael Sunsao? Yeah, oh, really? And your boy is a Sunsao?
I know.
And he would have taken that fight, and I really do think he's the one, the opponent for TJ Dillashaw next.
Yeah. Two questions before we leave. Are we in the TJ Dillashaw era, and is TJ Dillashaw the best fighter on Team Alpha Male?
He's not the best fighter in Team Alpha Male. I still think it's Chad Mendes. I think Chad Mendes has improved quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. But are we in the TJ Dillashaw era in the bantamweight division?
I think it's the TJ Dillashaw era. I like his confidence. I like what he's bringing everything together. I like that he's listening to his coach, Dwayne Ludwig.
I hate that you went with him first because it's gonna sound like I'm just echoing him.
Thank you
for once. But I do think Chad Mendes.
Alex did it on purpose.
I do think Chad Mendes is the better of the alpha males, especially the way he finishes and he's not in the octagon that long when he does finish. And the other thing is with TJ Dillashaw, I do think it's his era, and I'm really hoping that Dominic Cruz can finally be healthy and come back because I think they would match up perfectly. The way they move, the way their stand-up is, I think we'll finally see a really good fight in this match.
And the thing about Chad Mendes, if Chad Mendes is able to beat Jose Aldo, I think his name propels higher than TJ Dillashaw.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
But the key thing is here, if he stays healthy and he gets a win on his return.
Yep. I think that's it for today's show. We couldn't really talk about the fight coming up next week, UFC Fight Night, which I'm super excited about.
We'll recap it, though.
Yeah, we'll recap it. Jacques versus Mousasi.
Alistair Overeem.
Yeah, actually, it's a pretty good card. But the Fight Night card's been kind of weak, but this one's really stacked, right?
Albert's boy Joe Lozon.
Jacques versus Mousasi. Alistair Overeem versus Ben Rothwell. Matt Mitrione, Guillermo's boy. Against Derek Lewis, Joe Lozon, Michael
John
Chiesa.
Moraga.
Nick Lance is on this card against Charles Oliveira. And John Moraga, former title contender, against Justin Scoggins. So that's going to take place UFC Fight Night on September 5th at the Foxwoods Resort Casino in Linwood, Connecticut, and also see on Fox Sports 1.
They sell out.
Yeah, so it's going to be awesome. Super excited about that. And then until then, make sure to follow us on Twitter at FiveRoundMMA. Like us, or like our photos, and follow us on Instagram at FiveRoundMMA as well. Make sure to like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, and always check out FiveRoundMMA.com, and please visit OvertimeNation.com to read our articles, editorials, commentaries, not only on the world of mixed martial arts, but on the whole sports spectrum, and follow them on Twitter at Overtime_Nation. And at Big Game, Alan Jackson, we need your help. Who is today's superstar, rocking green star of the show, super clean rocking star, superstar of the show? I think the name always changes every week, right?
I would say for the amazing wardrobe selection, we're going to give it to Guillermo Cita.
It seems like I only win when Alan Jackson's here because Steven and Oliver really hate on me, man.
The super clean star of the show is brought by Rocking Green Soap. Please visit rockinggreensoap.com for the full line of eco-friendly soaps and detergents, and follow them on Twitter at Rocking Green Soap. You guys talk about that fashion statement. Guillermo and a Big Game are wearing the same Pepsi shirt, so which is we're supposed to believe is uncoordinated, right?
Yeah.
A happy accident. And also a big thank you to Redemption Martial Arts. The RMA Foundation is a non-profit organization committed to anti-bullying awareness. Please visit redemptionmartialarts.com and see how you can join the movement to stop bullying, and follow them on Twitter at redemption_MA. Rise up against bullying. Albert, take us away.
I'd just like to thank our executive producer Guillermo Cita, our engineer over there, Big Game, and I'd like to thank everybody for listening.
The madness is running wild. Oh yeah, the cream of the crop.